Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. We are live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today we will be continuing to talk about emotional intelligence. Mastering emotions, mastering life, the power of emotional intelligence, part 3. And when you have emotional intelligence, it is a game changer, personally and professionally. And it's one of the most important keys to creating an inspired and empowered life. And today, you'll discover the 3 core principles of emotional intelligence and how emotional intelligence transforms your relationship, your career, and your well-being. And the number 1 mistake that can block you and block your path to a life you love and how to avoid it. Together, let's create a life you love. I'm your host, Nancy Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive business expert. I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to transform your life and your business. And this show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. So let's review, for those of you who may just be tuning in, let's review what is emotional intelligence. And so emotional intelligence I was talking about this, emotional mastery. It's being able to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, and then to recognize, understand, and positively influence the emotions of others. And when we talk about emotional mastery, it's learning how to be able to come back into what we call regulation, emotional regulation, where you're able to go from reacting to a person, a place, a situation, or something that's going on, and being able to come back into alignment. And so it's not about suppressing or denying your emotions, but it's about asking, what am I really feeling? And then asking yourself, once you get in touch with the feeling, being able to acknowledge it in a healthy way. And I'm always talking about not acting on your feelings where you're hurting yourself, someone else, or the environment, but acknowledging the feeling and then being able to take action on it in a healthy way. So, and you may wonder, what's the difference between emotional intelligence and IQ, intelligence quotient? So intelligence actually is measured by what your intellect and what you know and your knowledge Emotional intelligence is being able to manage and to regulate. And we're going to talk more about your emotions to be able to help you to transform yourself and your life by having emotional mastery and emotional intelligence. And we have a comment. Anastasia said, could be a wonder. So, Anastasia, what I would love to hear from you, can you explain more what you mean by could be a wonder? So, because I definitely want to understand more about what your question or comment is. So, I look forward to hearing more about what you mean by could be a wonder. And so, IQ and emotions. Okay, IQ and emotions. So, IQ and emotions, like IQ is your intelligence, and then emotions is your emotional. EQ, it's actually called the EQ, your emotional quotient, as opposed to IQ. So, okay. So, and when you are in the energy, let's talk about the energy of wondering. Wondering, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? What action you can take to help you to get back to emotional regulation. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that very shortly. So let's talk about why does emotional intelligence even matter? Like how it really makes a difference. First of all, how you handle your stress. Emotional intelligence, when you learn to handle your stress and you learn to regulate your emotions, you have learned more how to have emotional mastery, emotional regulation. And it really does affect how you handle stress. Because if you are reacting to stress, and I know I talked about the stress reaction in the first segment of this, when you handle stress and you're in what fight, flight, or freeze, you will definitely be reactive. And so learning to be able to calm down and get into a place of breathing and relaxing and alignment will make a huge difference. And then the other thing that happens with emotional intelligence is it affects how you are at your job or in your business. It helps you or it affects you how you are as a leader, how you run your business, how you it relate to people in your work, whatever your work is, whether you're working at a job or you have your own business. It's really important. Emotional intelligence is the difference between being able to be a successful business owner or successful in your career or successful in your job as compared to someone who doesn't have emotional intelligence and really is not good at relationships and really has challenges with it. So that's how powerful emotional intelligence is. And then when you strengthen your relationships and you are clear in your communication, and what happens is as you are able to heal and relax and release the emotions, once you discover and acknowledge them, then you can clearly communicate your emotions so that it can strengthen your relationships. And strengthening your relationship is the key to an empowered, an inspired, and empowered life. We all need relationships, good relationships, healthy relationships. And the healthier you are in your emotions and regulating your emotions and having emotional mastery, the better your relationships and the better you're able to manage your relationships. So all of it is really powerful tools. So I talked about being able to, what do you do? What do you do to get back to emotional intelligence and be able to be in that place where when you're reacting, what can you do to calm yourself down? Now, we had talked about earlier what Anastasia, I remember the question or the request Anastasia had asked about breathing. So let's talk a little bit about breathing again, because breathing is something you could do anywhere. And it depends on how. But once you start taking deeper breaths, when you get stressed, when you are in an emotional reaction, so when you get triggered, and you get triggered, what I mean by triggered is you are reacting. You are reacting to a person, a situation in your life, or something that's happening in the world. During my work, I deal with my clients that they're reacting to things that are going on in the world. They're reacting to things that are going on in their business. So things that are happening to people around them. And the more that you can come back to center, and where you can use your breath for all of it, you can use your breath to help you come back to emotional regulation and alignment. So, breathing, and I talk a lot about belly breathing. And I'll give you an example. So, what the best way that I like to talk about belly breathing is putting your hand on your belly so that you can watch your belly rise and fall. And you know if you're helping yourself, because what happens is when your belly rises, your diaphragm, it's really diaphragm breathing, and your diaphragm goes up and then your diaphragm goes down. So when you breathe in, your belly should go up. And when you breathe out, your belly goes down. And your diaphragm is like a balloon. So you want to fill it up with all this fresh air. Like especially like if you're outside, or air that really calms and supports you. So breathe. Belly up, breathing in, and breathing out, belly down. Breathing in, belly up, and breathing out, belly down. So that's one tool that you can use anywhere, anytime. So definitely want to support you in doing that. Then other tools, I've talked about journaling and being able to journal, allowing yourself to journal and write it out. Write out whatever you're feeling. Like if you have a situation that has come up in your life and you are not sure what to do, or you're feeling very reactive about it, I would start journaling about it and just writing and writing and writing. Now, I've talked about Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And in The Artist's Way, she talks about uh, the she talks about the being able to release your thoughts, your emotions on the paper for 3 pages. For 3 pages, you just write, write, write. Whatever you're feeling, whatever coming up, whatever going on, and just doing that for at least 3 pages. And by the end of the 3 pages, you have released, hopefully, you've released the energy. And you can then move on. Now, very often, she calls it the morning pages. So when you wake up in the morning and you need to clear and feel, because I'm always talking about starting your day in a spiritual way. And when you start your day in a spiritual way, I believe that helps you be able to have that emotional intelligence, that emotional management to really support you through the day. Now, if you have things and situations come up, you may need to do some other kinds of tools during the day. But when you start your day in a spiritual way, and that could be meditation, it could be prayer, it could be the writing, the journaling, morning pages. It could be reading, inspirational reading. I have clients that do reading and they read inspirational books, books that fill them up so that they are then just feeling so filled, and it really helps. Now, you're going to be able to, I am also going to support you. And this is just something I just want you to know. Sometimes what happens when I'm doing the show or I'm teaching or I'm sharing, all of a sudden I get a hit. All of a sudden I get like what I call, you can call it a download, or you can call it, some kind of information for you to help you. And so what I am going to all support you in doing is to create a word that brings you into a centered state, that brings you, that brings you into alignment. And so perhaps the word for you would be peace. Learning peace, just saying peace. And what I support you do is in the morning, when you have calmed yourself, whether you're doing the morning pages or you've meditated, or another thing that I also want to support you in doing is moving, exercising, dancing, anything, or listening to music, anything that helps you move the energy through your body, breathing like I was talking about, can help you come back to center. And when you're in that place of quietness and center and peace, think of a word. And it could be something that inspires you. Maybe it's flowers. Maybe it's the beach or a beautiful still lake. Maybe it's, and you may visualize it in your mind, and you want to feel it in your body. What does that image bring to you? Or you feel it. How does it feel? Do you feel the peace? Maybe the word is stillness. Maybe the word is breathe. Maybe the word is love or joy. So I invite you to discover your word, the word that you can use throughout the day to bring you back to a place of quietness or peace or emotional mastery. So that can be part of what can help you. And some of you may like to draw or do art. Some of you may need to move like exercise. I have had clients that need to go to the gym. When they don't go to the gym, because when they go to the gym, they're releasing any anger or stress or frustration, or maybe I have clients that go running or walking, moving your body. And so I invite you to think about what it is you can do in the mornings, and even maybe set up a morning routine that will support you in being able to start your day in a spiritual way, or in a way that really helps you calm yourself down, de-stresses you. You want to de-stress. And the more that you are able to de-stress and connect to the deeper you. And when I talk about the deeper you, I'm talking about that higher aspects, like your higher self, this wise, unconditionally loving part of you that you can call upon, or you can call upon your soul. And so being able to make that connection to the deeper you, you can also call upon your spiritual support team. And even if you don't know the exact names of all the beings on your spiritual support team, they can help you and support you when you need it. So definitely. So all of these are pieces that can help you to be able to keep on going as you move through, as you change, as you are able to get back into that place of center and calm, being able to support you in moving forward so that you can get to that place of emotional management, emotional regulation. Really important. So I want to talk to you a little bit about other parts of emotional intelligence. And this what I'm going to share with you is something that came from a blog from thinkpsych.com. And it's the 5 components of emotional intelligence. And the author is Aria Palmer from April 2021. And I loved, because I talked about 3 or different components of emotional intelligence, but I like when she talked about these 5. And so I'm just going to bring you all back to these 5 aspects of emotional intelligence. You have the self-awareness. Self-awareness is the first part, is being able to be aware. What is the emotion that you're feeling? What is your what are you noticing? What are you noticing in your body? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? All of that is part of self-awareness. And the more you can become self-aware, the more you gain emotional intelligence, emotional mastery. Because in order for you to shift out of where you are, you need to recognize and become aware that what you're feeling. And so having that awareness, that self-awareness, is really key and really crucial. And then after that, you have self-regulation. Now, I talked a lot about what, like, using the tools. So once you have the awareness, oh, I'm feeling anger, or I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling really stressed right now, or I'm feeling anxious. Once you have the awareness, then you can take an action and you do your self regulation. So and what happens with the self regulation is you're able to manage your behaviors. So, for example, let's say you are noticing you're in a situation with someone in your life, and whether it's a friend or a romantic partner or a spouse, and or it's someone at work or a client or in your business, you notice, oh, I'm feeling angry, or I got really triggered. And one of the things, and it's really important, it's very important to learn how to regulate those emotions so you don't act out. And I'll give you an example. So, Emma, one of my clients, she had gone to a doctor, and she went to this doctor, and the doctor, she was being tested, and she has anxiety, and she went to the doctor, has the anxiety, and the doctor was trying to give her a test. Now, she has always, uh, I'll get to your comment, Misty, thank you. She has always had the anxiety about tests and taking tests. And what ends up happening for her, she is shut down. Now, yes, she's worked on it. And sometimes, depending on how much her anxiety, because sometimes, I mean, she's able to do tests. In this case, in this particular instance, she wasn't able to. And she laughed, a nervous laugh. And then what happened was the doctor reacted in anger. And he said things, and he did, he upset her a lot. And he behaved in a way that was really unprofessional. And so Emma said, I'm never going back to that doctor. And that's really an example of what happens in behaviors where you want to be able to use emotional regulation and emotional management to be able to handle your behaviors so that you're back in control. Now, yes, it takes work, it takes time, but it's worth it. It's worth it to have that emotional regulation. And if you notice that you're getting triggered and you're not sure, what I always say with my clients, and I know I've talked about this on the show before, what I always say is take a time out. Do not engage. If you're upset, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're sad, you're scared, whatever it is, you don't want to behave in a way that you later regret. And so remove yourself somehow from the situation. So let's get to Misty's question or comment. So Misty says, it works best if you have a grip on your emotions. Yes, I'll get to Anastasia's in a sec. So yes, it does work best when you have a grip. And here's the thing. What the most important thing is learning, is being in the learning. You listening to the show, you watching the show, you're inspired and hopefully empowered to be able to make the changes in your life so that you don't have to react, that you can choose, because when you're at choice, that empowers you to respond instead of reacting. And that is emotional intelligence. So when you respond with a behavior, and that can include a timeout for yourself if you need to, so that you don't react in a way that you later regret, or using tools to calm yourself down so that you can interact with the person. Whatever works. So, yes, it's important that you do have a grip on your emotions and that you learn to have a grip on your emotions. Thank you, Misty. Anastasia asks, did she or was she able to take an action on the doctor's behavior? So what happened was, when that situation happened and the doctor reacted, it didn't help her respond. She reacted, and it was an uncomfortable situation for her. And she did not have a good time at that doctor's. And she couldn't wait to get out of there, and she's never going back. So with the way she needed to, what happened for her was she made a decision that she doesn't want to go back. But that was an example of, when you're working in your business or when you're at work, you want to learn how to be able to, you want to be able to report, you want to be able to take an action that supports you. After the fact, did she report him? No, she didn't report him. She's chosen not to. But she made a decision that he's not a doctor she wants to go back to. So that she dealt with it. And so another aspect of the 5 ways and components of emotional intelligence that Aria talks about is empathy. Empathy. So it's learning to be able, when you have empathy, and this is important, especially in your relationships with others, you're being able to empathize with somebody, to be able to relate to how they're feeling and what's going on for them. Like, for example, let's go back to the example I just said, the doctor. And he knows that she has anxiety. He knew that she has this issue with anxiety, but he wasn't empathizing with her. He was reacting from his stuff. And instead of empathizing, he ended up acting out his behavior. And so having empathy is really important, whether you're working with a client, whether you're dealing with a friend or a spouse or a loved one. Having that empathy changes relationships for the better. Now, if you're what I call an empath, where you actually take, and this is different than empathy. Empathy is being able to get a sense or to feel what another person is feeling so that you can relate to them better. An empath actually can take on the feelings of other people, which actually is not good for the empath. And so learning to be able to set your boundaries and not take on other people's emotions and yet have empathy is really important. So hopefully I made that clear. So an empath will take on, so if you've ever been feeling fine or you're in a good mood and then you walk into a room or you're relating to somebody who's really upset, really angry or really scared, and all of a sudden you notice all of a sudden you're feeling angry or you're feeling scared and you were feeling fine before, you probably were taking on that feeling. And so it's going to be important to use your tools to release that energy. So Misty says, You need to know when to dump the empathy so it doesn't hinder you. So it's not dumping the empathy, it's being able to let go of other people's emotions that can hinder you. I always support empathy because empathy is a powerful tool in relationships. It's really important. And yet, you don't want to be taking on other people's feelings. So there's boundaries there. And it's being able, when you notice, and this is the self-awareness piece, when you notice that maybe you've taken on somebody else's feelings, you can ask to release that energy, give it back so that you don't. That is what I meant. The feelings you absorb from others. Yes. Okay. Thank you for clarifying, Misty. All right, good. Because here's the thing, you don't want to be taking on other people's feelings because it will hinder you and it's not good for you. And it's important that you let go of that. You let go of those other feelings. And you can ask, you can deep breathe, you can ask your guides and angels, help me release any energy I might have taken on from anybody else. Breathe, let out that emotion, intend that you release those other emotions so that you are clear. You are clear. Okay. So now I want to invite you another tool that you can use is the meditation that I have, the clearing and centering meditation. So it's being able to clear your energy and then be able to call in and connect with your higher self, and then being able to tap into your step or what's next for you. And the meditation is inspired. Go to this link, inspired and empoweredliving.com/meditation, meditation. So it's the name of the show, .com, inspired and empowered living.com/meditation. And Rebels put it in the chat as well. And I invite you to download the meditation to help you with emotional regulation and management. It can help and support you. So you definitely want to be using that. And the other thing that I want to support all of you in doing is when you are in that state, and this is also how the meditation can help you, it can help you make a decision because you want healthy decision making. That's also part of emotional mastery. I love that. All part of emotional intelligence. And finally, having those social skills and being able to relate to others. So you make a positive influence on other people. And you really want that. That will make a difference in your life and in others. So, and then the other thing that I want to support you all in knowing, the number one thing that will keep you from having a life you love and creating harmony and having what you want in your life. Number one issue, challenge, mistake is not dealing with your reactions. So if you're noticing, and this is where that awareness comes in, all of a sudden you notice you could be at a party, you could be at work, you could be at home, and all of a sudden you could be reacting. You could be reacting to something on TV. You could be reacting to something your partner said or one of your kids, whether they're young or adult. You could be reacting. And when you react, then if you are not allowing yourself to move through the steps of that emotional regulation, emotional intelligence of being able to be aware. What are you feeling? And being able to take the steps of what you need to do, then you may end up having situations in your life and in your relationships that would really harm you or not be beneficial. And in order to create an inspired and empowered life, a life you really love, a business you love, you want to find that emotional way. And also the tools that work for you, because I named a few. So to review, you want to have the self-awareness, being able to really discover what it is you're feeling, to be able to acknowledge it. And then once you acknowledge it, once you realize it, once you know it, then you can take an action to be able to shift your energy. And so maybe you'll do the meditation. And also know there's a PDF along with the meditation. So you can do a meditation. You could do a prayer. You could do the journaling. You can do the breathing, which you take with you wherever you go, your lungs. Thank you. Thank you for those lungs of yours. And know that you have the tools that can help you get back into a state of alignment, of centeredness. And the tool that I want to support you in, that I came up with today, was the one when you're in a calm state. Hopefully, you start your day in a calm way, and then you let a word come to you. Ask your higher self, what's the word? The word, maybe it's the word for the day, or maybe it's a word you need to keep saying every day. So it could be peace. It could be stillness. It could be love. It could be joy. So whatever your word is, use your word to help you get back into a calmer state. And then you want to be able to not act on those behaviors, but be in a calmer state so then you can communicate in a healthy way. And if you discover that you've taken on other people's emotions, you want to make sure that you release those emotions so that you can come back to your center. And all of those are ways for you to really help you have the emotional intelligence that will change your life, your work, your business on every level. And so join us next week for more inspired and empowered living. And we are live Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on Talk4TV, Talk4TV.com, W4WN.com, my YouTube channel. And I invite you to come live so that you can ask your questions in the chat. Thank you all for your participation today. I'm always grateful for that. And I also invite you to ask your questions at a later time as well on my YouTube channel. Tag me. And I look forward to connecting with you more. So, and also know that we have the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more. And I wish you an inspired and empowered evening, day, wherever you are in the world, and an inspired and empowered week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.